Hello and welcome to the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
Towards the near post, the flick, and it's in! Darwin Jones with the response for Orange County. And it is a massive one, off the goal, dominant in the last 10. Forrester in the middle now, gets around a few defenders. Forrester with the outside of right foot. What a strike by Harry Forrester. It's the opening goal for Orange County.
Heads it down, back post, opportunity and a goal! A beautiful goal by Orange County.
This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. Follow us on Twitter at OCSC_SoccerCast or on Facebook at Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
How's it going, Orange County? Welcome to another episode of the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, presented by Roughneck Scarves and Icarus FC. We are the first and only podcast dedicated to Orange County Soccer Club, its fans, and supporters. I'm your host, Ray Samora, and I'm with you almost every single episode, except for that one time I couldn't make it on, and Dylan and Alan covered for me, but that's a long time ago. I'm just going to start saying again every episode, as long as Dylan's okay with that. Let's bring Dylan on here. Dylan, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing well, and I am okay with that. I think the 100-something episodes we've had, you are above a 99%. You're fine.
So close enough is what you're saying.
If it was Alan, I would draw the line, but.
And way to segue over to our other host here down in San Diego, Mr. Alan. Alan, how's it going?
Oh, it's going. Stuff happening. Twitter is a disaster. From what I've heard, Facebook and Reddit is worse, so I'm avoiding those. But no, things are right. Dogs are happy. It's not super hot anymore, so I'm happy. I'm glad to be back again. I know we took a week off, so I'm glad to be back and talking on a Tuesday night about Orange County Soccer Club, and I'm excited to have a conversation about last year and looking ahead to next year, because I think that's, what teams in this position are doing right now.
Definitely. I'm excited about that too. Unfortunately, this is the time of year we like to be talking about playoff soccer for Orange County, and we just didn't quite get there this season. So we're getting a little started a little early with some of the, what to look ahead to for the future. And one of those things we're going to talk about, we actually brought on a guest. First time on the show. He is the president of business operations for Orange County Soccer Club, and that's Mr. Jeff Garner. Jeff, welcome to the Orange and Black Soccer Cast.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Big fan of the show, so I'm very excited to be making my first appearance. Hopefully not my last, but we'll see how it goes.
Oh, definitely. Hopefully not your last appearance. We appreciate the shout out there. Glad you're enjoying what we've been trying to provide for Orange County Soccer Club fans and trying to help promote the team. Let's just get started with things. You joined the club rather recently. You've been here now for what, a little bit over a season and a half now, basically. You came from outside of soccer. You were in San Diego with some professional football down there, a league that's no longer around, apparently. So I guess you left a sinking ship just in time, head up the 5 to come to Orange County Soccer Club, and you're now here. Let me just ask you this: you joined again the club with little to no soccer experience, as far as the business end of things. What has it been like for you in this year and a half, and how have you grown, learned, adapted? Yeah. Share the tale.
It has been amazing. I've really enjoyed it. My soccer on-field background, I guess, would be limited to the time I spent as an assistant AD at Penn State. We had a national championship women's team and a fairly decent men's team, and so I got a lot of experience working with staffs there and hosting a Big Ten tournament, and with the girls going to the NCAA tournament. So that's where I was kind of limited. I spent a long time in pro baseball, and then as you mentioned, with the San Diego Fleet as part of the Alliance of American Football. And while our team did very well down in San Diego, and we had a lot of really good things going on, unfortunately the league itself turned out to be not exactly what was promised. And so it turned out though that I got to come up here and join the club, and I came right in the middle of the 2019 season. And so I did get a handful of games under my belt, just enough to kind of see what we were doing from a business standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, from a fan experience standpoint, and then really start to make some changes in the offseason last year, add on to the good things we were doing. Unfortunately, we got one game under our belt for 2020 and really weren't able to see a lot of those things come to fruition. So it's been very frustrating from that standpoint, but very excited about what the future has and what we can build here and continue to build on.
Yeah, it definitely very frustrating with the way things ended up this season. I know even, with us, we had big plans for the season. I know speaking with you, behind the scenes, trying to figure out ways we can expand our, footprint and do some more live pregame shows and things of that nature. And unfortunately, we got to do the one game. We got to do a pregame show there, and then everything just went crazy. From the business side of things, what was the most difficult part about the COVID-19 restrictions, the stoppage of play, and then the way that things resumed with no fans in the stands?
Yeah, easily it's the uncertainty of really trying to create a plan, trying to create a strategy, and not having the ability to really plan around anything concrete. I think we opened up on a Friday, and by that Wednesday back in March, I think everything pretty much shut down. And suddenly we were thrown into this loop of, instead of getting ready for a beer fest event, we were figuring out, what we were going to do, when were we going to come back? Were we going to come back? And there was a lot of work done on our side. And then certainly by the USL, trying to figure out how to return to play. I think the league felt, and we would agree with this, felt very strongly that it was important that we get back quickly and we get back ahead of some of the other leagues, which is what we did. I think with a growing league like this, you really want to try to, I hate to say capitalize, but you want to really try to get out in front of some of those other competing sports. And so we wanted to get out before baseball and before NBA and, before NFL got started. And we did that. And I think we were out a little bit behind the MLS. We were out ahead of hockey. And so I think that really helped. I think there was eight games or 8 days in the first 10 days of the season that we were actually on ESPN or ESPN Deportes, ESPN2 and ESPN Deportes. So we had a national audience as a league, which I think helped quite a bit from an exposure standpoint. And we actually saw that sort of spill over into our ESPN Plus viewership. And so we saw all across the league, I think it was 6 times the viewership that we had seen from last year. So I think that was great for us from a brand standpoint, great for the league to get out early, grab that attention, and we really didn't let go of it, even though some competition started to enter. So the uncertainty of trying to plan around all of those things, I think we did a good job coming back in July and making sure that we put players first and their safety and the protocols. It was not easy. A lot of times it was not easy. But I think we had a pretty good record. Unfortunately, we played some teams that had some issues around COVID, and we had to change some schedules and move some games around. Sacramento was 20 minutes before kickoff or something, so that was always difficult. But I was really proud of the way sort of everybody came together, the technical side, the business side. We tried to really produce some really fun sort of digital content and try some things. I mean, we don't hit every time, but tried to create some new engaging stuff and have some fun with it during that time, which I think we did a pretty good job of. Things that we'll continue to work on and continue to offer even when we get back to games next year, hopefully. And then once we got into the flow of the season, I think it got a little bit easier. We sort of settled into a routine. I think the players settled into that routine, the coaching staff, and then, of course, on the business side, we did too. And now we start all over again with the uncertainty. What is 2021 going to look like? The state of California today came out and created some opportunity to allow fans back in for professional sports. Orange County isn't there yet. So who knows what category we're going to be at by the time we get to 2021. And then there's a question of when will the season start? And I think that's all part of this process as we go forward.
So heading into this season, the club had a major announcement with the partnership with Rangers out in Scotland. I'm sure on the business side of things, you guys had a lot of stuff planned based off of that partnership, maybe some promotions or trying to work that relationship. There's the documentary that was created, which I'm sure that, difficulties get thrown in with what was planned with that as well. Can you give us any kind of insight of what fans could have expected from the partnership as far as the engagement side of things with the team?
Of course. And you know what? I think that aspect is what makes that relationship different than many others across soccer. It's not just a player development arrangement or a player development contract. We're not just sending players over there and having players come over here. There is a commercial side to that relationship. And so the most visible is the Path to Glory, is the documentary. We are working on getting that distributed nationally, and we expect to have that distributed nationally on television probably in the next month, maybe 6 weeks, that we'll have that out in the US. We'll have some announcements later about how we're handling it internationally with the Rangers and with their Rangers TV platform, but there'll be an opportunity. And as much as it affected the documentary, it actually created some drama. There's a couple episodes that were really focusing on how we were dealing with COVID, how the players were dealing with it, how the team and coaching staff and how we were dealing with it that way. And so fans will get to see a little bit behind the scenes of how we really operated leading up to that July 16th return. And then once we got the season started again. And so that's going to be a really cool thing to get out. The first episode aired back in July, but I think being able to see, we'll probably look at getting 4 episodes out. I think we're looking forward to that. Also merchandise. We're working with the Rangers right now on doing some co-branded merchandise, some things that will be sold over in Scotland and then some things that'll be sold over here. Really trying to interweave the brands. For the Rangers, we represent a place to plant their flag in the U.S. And create a presence over here. The Rangers are such a traditional and tradition-rich brand in Europe, but in the U.S., they have pockets of following, but they really need to grow over here too. And I think we provide that window to them. So we've talked about doing promotional nights. We've talked about having some former players that are living in the U.S. Come up and do appearances, certainly having some of their players and some of their coaching staff come over and do some different things. And so we plan to do those again next year. We're working on a small pro tournament, probably like a 4-team exhibition tournament that would include the Rangers, us, and 2 other teams. We're looking at probably doing that next summer. We're looking at doing an additional youth tournament with the Rangers, some camps and clinics. And so really trying to interweave those brands. We certainly want to keep our own identity, and they want to also. But I think where we can find opportunities to partner, then we are aggressively looking for ways to do that. And I think our fans, whether you're a Rangers fan or not, I think you'll feel a little bit of that as we go through the year next year.
Jeff, so understandably, you mentioned earlier a growing league. We're a growing club within a growing league. Lots of talk about the future. How was business this year? Obviously, I think it's not much of a secret that a lot of USL teams rely pretty heavily on gate receipts and events and things. So how did the club go about dealing with that?
Yeah, it's no secret at all that we're an event business, and so a lot of our money comes from ticket sales, comes from sponsorship sales, a little bit of concessions, and a little bit of merchandise. And that's typically sort of the breakdown. Usually I would say for any sort of minor league team, you're probably looking at a third tickets, a third sponsorship, and a third concessions is usually roughly how it breaks down, and a little sliver for merchandise. And we really lost a big chunk of merchandise, although we did partner with a new retail group in Soccer Garage this year for merchandise and really tried to clean up sort of our merchandise offering. And now we're getting ready to launch some new product lines for the holidays and then also for 2021. So I think that's going to help merchandise out a little bit. And I mentioned that specifically because the majority of our sales and merchandise were game days. And so we lost a lot of that. And again, while I think merchandise is getting better and will be in a much better position as we go forward, it certainly hurt during the season. And concessions and ticket sales were pretty much wiped out. I will say our season ticket holders, I think, held very loyal, as they have done in many other markets with many other pro teams. Our season ticket holders, by and large, said, "Hey, we'll stick with you and roll our tickets over to next year in lieu of refunds or sort of pulling out of the team." And so I think that's a huge thing for us for next year to build on. Now the tough part is, how do we go out and create new ticket sales when we don't know when the season necessarily is starting? We don't know what the situation will be like when we start. We don't know if vaccines will be widely available. We don't know if people are going to take them if they are wildly available and actually feel comfortable coming into stadiums. We don't know what the state is going to allow us to have. So I think that's the really hard part, is trying to figure out how do we go about selling tickets right now, which now is a key time to start that process, when we don't have all of that information, which we typically would have by now. And so we've had to be thinking sort of creatively about flex packages and undated voucher packages and ways that you can get involved. You can reserve maybe first right on a seat location or on a game selection. So when we do have those things, we can still capture some of that revenue now. And then the other thing for us to focus on is sponsorship. And sponsorship, our sponsors were great with us this year. We were able to offer some value, and quite a bit of value actually, through most of our broadcasts, whether it was on Cox Yearview or ESPN Plus or Tu Liga Spanish radio. We were able to deliver that value. So a lot of our sponsors stayed with us. In fact, some actually spent more. And so we need to continue to build on that as we go to next year. So I will absolutely say it's a credit to James Keston and ownership that they were able to weather the storm. It was not an easy one. We did our best to keep as many people employed as possible, although we did have a handful of layoffs. We're sort of a smaller front office to begin with, so that actually somewhat benefited us, I guess, in this situation. And we were just trying to be very responsible financially with how we got through this time. So things are looking much better as we go towards 2021. But it's certainly what has been a difficult 2020, as it has been for so many other people. Not just a soccer team.
So let me ask you this, because you did mention merchandise, and we had one of our listeners or viewers watching on this, Nathan Wander on YouTube, just wondering about the away jersey for the season. It wasn't at Soccer Garage, or at least on their website. I know in the past, merchandise has been a difficult thing for this club.
Yep.
Jerseys, I believe it was 2 seasons ago, they unveiled this orange jersey, and then it wasn't available for fans to buy until the very last moment. And even at that point, it was very limited run of jerseys. Yep. So I guess one question is, the away jersey available? And second, what's the club's sort of commitment to getting, quicker access to
Sure.
game day jerseys and things of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, just transparently, it was not a very good operation, and it's something that we've been working really hard on trying to fix. And so, unfortunately, we've been sort of paying for a couple years of neglect, and so we had quite a backlog of inventory and stuff that we really needed to try to get through. And I think we've gotten through a lot of that at this point. We really did a very limited run of new merchandise for the start of the season in March. And I think what we are working on now is we actually just hired some merchandise help in-house in addition to our Soccer Garage partnership. And so I think now we are working on creating a new product line so that we can get some new stuff for the holidays, and then really unveil a full line for the beginning of the season next year. Soccer Garage has really helped from a fulfillment standpoint, from a shipping standpoint, from a cost of shipping standpoint. The partner previous to that really was not offering those things in a very easy to use and customer friendly way. And I think Soccer Garage has done a really good job of that. So I think that part of it has been worked through, and we're in a much better place than we were a year ago. Now it's all about creating new inventory and getting new stuff in the store, not only the brick and mortar store down in San Juan Capistrano, but also online. So again, now that I think we have the order process and fulfillment process figured out, and we have confidence in that, and it's affordable, now it's a matter of creating good quality merchandise on a regular basis that fans can enjoy and like and wear.
So I know you kind of came in, and it seemed like you were doing a very good job of kind of just taking the temperature of where things were when you stepped in. The conversations you had and the conversations that I happened to catch you having with fans was always about, where are we right now? And so I'm going to ask, what was one thing that really surprised you, that hey, this is working out really well, that I didn't really expect? And then what is if you had to list the number one priority going into next year, if next year is a regular season, let's just hypothetically, next year is totally normal, what would be your number one priority to kind of build on that success?
Wow, we've got a lot of priorities because I think there's a lot of areas that we've been focusing on and trying to get better in all of those. I think for me, though, regardless of what next year looks like. Hopefully it's 100% capacity and it's safe and we can get back to normal. But even if we can't, I think this still becomes the top priority, and always, honestly, personally for me, always will be, and it's the fan experience. And so what are we doing for our fans? How are we making a game, whether it's in person or it's virtual, how are we making that enjoyable? How are we making it memorable? How are we providing an experience that they want to come back to? And that will, I think, always be the priority. How do we create fun promotions and creative promotions, something that's a little bit different every game, so it gives you a little bit different experience? How do we sort of honor the game and the traditions that we've already built here as part of Orange County Soccer Club? So how do we honor those and make sure that that's a part of the game? And then how do we bring new fans in with that kind of fan experience? So I think that's, for me, that's always the priority. Merchandise, as we talked about, is an area that we really wanted to get better in, and I think we're definitely on the road to doing that. I think I'll leave the sort of on the pitch stuff to Oliver, right? So I mean, I think that's a whole nother set of things that I think we certainly will want to work on. Concessions, again, that's all fan experience to me, but concessions is an area that I think we want to get better at and provide more options. We want to create more beer options. We want to create more hospitality areas. We started to do that with Califino Tequila down in the sort of general admission bleacher area. And so we had a lot of plans set up for what that was going to be in 2020. And we got part of one game in, and really that's as far as we got. We set up some club cabanas on the south deck and started to create some hospitality there. So I think really trying to work through what our relationship is with the city of Irvine and how we operate the stadium, and getting more access to the stadium on a more permanent basis. I think that's going to be a really big part of that too, so that we're not necessarily starting from scratch every single game, but that we are building on what we've done from game to game. And right now we have to tear everything down, set everything up, and it's very difficult to grow that way. So I think those are the priorities. I think working out our stadium situation and making sure that we are enhancing the fan experience would be the priorities for me for 2021 for sure.
And let's not even get started with like the field conditions at the stadium when Irvine's managing that, because 99% of the time the conditions, especially we saw in those first few matches when they played Phoenix, I believe it was just like painted on grass and stuff like that, and all that fun stuff. Which I know,
I don't know what you're talking about.
When you see the ball is like bright green by halftime,
right,
you know what's going on there. And I get it. The club really doesn't have any control of that because it's not your stadium. And it's just working that relationship with Irvine, and hopefully you guys can continue to build that relationship and find a way to get better control of everything in that stadium, the pitch, concessions, and all that other stuff.
I will say that we have had a very good dialogue going with Irvine with the city of Irvine over the past, say, 2 months, and have made a lot of progress towards that, which prior to that, we really weren't making any progress. And so that's certainly a plus to them to be open enough to have the conversation. And we've been making a lot of progress. So we'll see where that goes. We still have a long road to get to where we want to be, but at least that door is open to the city, and those conversations are happening, and they're happening more accelerated than they were, say, 3 months ago or prior to that. So I think that's a really good sign for where we may end up for next year.
Good to hear right there. Let me ask you this. You're not in the soccer side of things. You're more on the business side of things, but you still get to see the club. You're at the match.
Sure.
You get to see what you're expecting. You know what the expectations are with this club. We talked about it prior to going live here a couple weeks ago on our last episode. We did some team overall grades for the season. And I think I caught a lot of heat for my harshness of this club with my grade of an F. On the season. And again, I base that all on expectations and where we should have been. Let me ask you, Jeff, as a member of the club, and you get to see the whole big picture for the most part. Mm-hmm. What would you grade this 2020 season for Orange County as a whole?
So, Oliver and I have talked about this, and Oliver has a much more detailed take on the play on the field. But I would say that our expectation, we've got two priorities, I think, on the field. And one of those is winning championships. And one of those is developing quality players, right? And so Oliver is one of the best in the business, I think, at doing that, and doing that on a somewhat limited budget. He brings in some really good players, some really good veteran leadership, but also mixes that with some of the young guys, particularly at the end of the year when some of them got to play a little bit more. Or Aaron Cervantes is a good example of one of the young guys sort of making good and getting some good playing time. So when we're not winning championships, and in this year's case, not making the playoffs, it is extremely disappointing to everybody. And I think the players and the coaching staff and Oliver probably more than anybody else. But that's our expectation going into it. And quite frankly, I think that should be the fans' expectation going into it too. And so we are going to do everything we can to win championships. And if we're not even in the playoffs, then that's not a good finish for us. I think as the season went on, there was a lot to deal with from a player standpoint. That, it's tough. I think athletes in general are sort of creatures of habit and routine, and that was blown up completely for months. And then if you remember, we had that stoppage. It was about a 2-week stoppage with, I think the Galaxy had some issues in Sacramento. And so we actually didn't play for about 2 weeks. And so we started, we stopped, we started, we stopped. So that was very challenging, but we played through it. But I think the way we ended the season was the most disappointing part for all of us, is that we really just didn't play well down the stretch. And we certainly had our chances. San Diego opened the door, Galaxy opened the door, and we just really had a hard time walking through that door. And so I think that's something that Oliver will address and Braden will address as we go forward into 2021. I think we're going to try to bring back all the great parts and build on those and build on the progress and try to get that fixed for next year, because our expectation is to be in the playoffs and to compete for a championship every year, like we had done the past few years. And so do I have to give a letter grade, right?
Yeah, go for it.
I'll give it a C. I'll give it a C as average. I think the end of the year is probably closer to a D. The beginning of the year is closer to a B or a B plus. I think that was the most disappointing, was the way that we ended the year. It was painful to not be able to get it done at the end there.
All right, let me get one last question, and then I'll let you head off for the evening. OC Soccer Dad on YouTube watching live posted a comment saying the fan experience will be better if we can raise attendance. When we watch the games on ESPN Plus and see the impact of the opposing supporters, I get jealous. How can the dedicated supporters help build the fan base? So what can the supporters group and the fans that are dedicated to this team, that season ticket holders or go to the majority of the matches, how can they help you guys out in helping build this fan base?
And that's actually a tough one, because I appreciate our supporter group more than I mean, I think they are such a key to what we will do going forward. The fact that we had fans coming out in a pandemic and sitting outside the fence and climbing on ladders and scaffolding is incredible, and chanting and playing drums and singing and having a good time. I think that's incredible too. We really want to try to work with the supporters group and really want to try to build that. And so I would almost sort of put the question back to them, honestly, and say, tell us what you need. Tell us how we can help. And so we've been having those conversations and have had those conversations, over the past, I don't know, probably a year or so, a little bit over a year since I've been here. And so there's definitely some opportunities for us to get better and for us to support what the supporters are doing. Ultimately, we've got to find a good way to recruit new members. And I think that's one area that's been a little stagnant is we haven't really added new people to that group. It's been the same group of people. And so while they are a core of what we're doing, to be able to find a way to build some excitement and be able to draw new people in, I think that's a key to obviously letting the supporter group grow. But I 100% think it's a huge key to the atmosphere. I had a hard time, honestly, my first couple games sort of adjusting to that, because I'm used to being able to control the fan experience a little bit more and pump in a little bit music and do a little bit more entertainment wise on the field. And you really can't do that in soccer. It's a constantly flowing game, and the supporters control the atmosphere. Not even, I mean, the team can do it a little bit, but more so it's the supporters. And so I think trying to find a way to help that group grow is a real key to what our fan experience looks like going forward.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And I'm going to just end this real quick. I did say that was going to be the last question, but I want to let Dylan ask a question here, because we do ask every guest from the club this question. Dylan's just getting a collection for his future book that he will release in probably 2029 or something like that. Dylan, go for it.
All right, Jeff. What is your favorite vegetable, and how do you prepare it?
My favorite vegetable. Well, I have not cooked in about 23 years since I started dating my wife because she's a wonderful cook. I would say, though, I am all about raw cucumbers. Like I could eat raw cucumbers, sliced raw cucumbers, and I'm probably dip them in ranch, but I could eat those all day long, every day. So, but I love a good like sautéed mushroom with some butter and garlic. I like God, carrots and celery. I mean, our kids eat vegetables constantly, so I'm usually eating on those. But given the choice, I'd probably end up with a bag of Cheetos.
Yeah. Those might.
I think you got a reaction from the fan base out there in your house.
Exactly.
Taking some time to join us here on the episode. Definitely hope we can do this multiple times in the future. And I'm looking forward to when we can get back to normal and we can actually be at the stadium and we can put on some live pregame shows there in the fan zone so the fans can interact with us. We should spread the love of the Orange County Soccer Club. Any last thoughts or any last thoughts you want to share with our listeners?
I would just say, I appreciate what you guys do every week. So thank you so much for doing it and supporting the team and being a part of the team. We appreciate it. And to all the fans that came out during this year, in spite of a pandemic, thank you. Honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, just thank you for coming out and supporting us. And, it means a lot when you go through some of these days, particularly over the last few months. And it's so challenging, to see people that appreciate it and enjoy it and are there for it. That makes it all worth it. So just thank you to you guys for doing this and the effort that goes into it. And thank you to the fans for coming out this year. We really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to doing more of this as we go forward and certainly getting back to normal in 2021.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, check out Orange County Soccer Club on social media to follow all these great announcements we're hoping we're going to hear in the near future here coming from this club. And Jeff's going to be a big part of what we may hear from some of that. So once again, Jeff, thank you so much for taking some time to join us, and best of I guess luck or best wishes for you off season. And hopefully this pandemic slowly goes away and in time for next season. So you can just go bonkers with what you can plan for the fan experience at the stadium.
Will do. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that is Jeff Garner from Orange County Soccer Club. We appreciate whenever we can get a guest from the team to come speak with us and share what's going on. And it's always nice when you can get someone from the front office on a podcast like this, because you get to get a little bit deeper into it. We love talking to the players, but when you can speak with someone that has a little bit more control with what's going on, maybe at the stadium with the fans and all that, it's always awesome to hear and always awesome to see. What are your thoughts, Dylan, with Jeff this evening, and what he had to share with us?
I mean, it's just good to hear from someone that's not involved in soccer operations all the time, but is in the office every day and doing work. Because what is going on the field for 90 minutes is a really small part of the week, and it's the biggest part and the smallest part of the store altogether, or of the story altogether. So it's good to hear about what's going on behind the scenes, especially in a year like this where we didn't just see anything.
Well, and the interesting thing, right, as soccer fans, and I'll admit, all three of us were soccer fans when it comes down to it. That's the reason we started a soccer podcast. But as soccer fans, or any sports fans in general, you don't really look or think about the back end side of things when you're looking at like the business side of things on a team. You're really just looking at player movement, transactions, and what your team is doing on the field without thinking. There's a lot that goes into running a team and running an organization besides just signing great players and playing good on the field, right? Let me go to you, Alan.
Yeah, I know this was something that when I first showed up to Orange County, it was a kind of a question about like, how are things working? And there was the conversations with fans was like, they are doing a lot and they didn't always feel like the club was working with them. But over the last, 18 months or so, I felt that the team has made an effort to connect to the people who are showing up, and have tried to get out to community. Like they gave us some stuff to pass out at a watch party against Tacoma. And that was like early on, that was like last year. And it was like, all right, this is fun. And you talk to people that they don't know that Orange County plays right down the street. They were literally like, oh, do we have a team? It's like, yeah, they play right down the street. But I do think that they've made an effort to be more vocal, be more present, be more engaged with their fans and the casual fans and the USL community. And I've seen the ship change direction, but organizations like professional sports teams don't quickly change overnight. It's like a slow change. You got to make sure you're lining up your ducks. You got to make sure you're not overextending yourself. But the fan experience was always something that was, it was there, but the effort being put in now, I feel the team is moving in the right direction. And I think, over the next couple of years, we might see a benefit. Like, we're not going to see it right away. It's not going to be like, all right, we sold out. I think it's going to be kind of a slow burn to get to that point, because it's a tough place to draw into in Irvine. And so you have to convince people that it's worth it to go. But I think once people go, if they really love soccer, that is a phenomenal venue. It's a great place to watch a game. And unless you're playing RGV or whatever, it's going to be a really good product on the pitch. And it's one of the reasons I was hooked to going in and watching games at Championship Soccer Stadium. It was like, this is a really crazy cool venue. I think a lot of people in the area who know it, but it's that education piece, and that just takes time and work. And as USL gets better, as Orange County gets more eyes on it, I think you can see some of that growth.
Yeah, I love how you brought up that watch party that we threw, and it was funny because we got those like sort of prize bags or whatever, or the goodie bags to give out, and we ended up giving, there was people that were watching us go crazy, watching one TV, listening to this game, watching this game, and people started looking at us like we were weird or that we were crazy, and then they started asking us, what is this? What's going on? And I think we talked to a few people, and they were shocked to hear that there is a professional soccer team in Orange County, which I think we can all agree we've all shared that experience even outside of that. Like, you talk to people, like they're like, what? There's a soccer team here? Or you bring them to a game, they're, they don't know what to expect, and then they leave saying like what you said, Alan, like, this is a pretty awesome place to watch soccer, and it's good, it's fun, it's neat, and it's a good value too when you look at the price to go to a soccer match at Championship Soccer Stadium as opposed to even going to the movies, right? In a normal non-pandemic time period. I mean, movies are now like what, $15 a pop. If you're going with a family of four, that can be like, $70 or $60. I can't do my math right now. But by the time you buy popcorn and sodas and all this other stuff, you're spending well over $100 for a movie. I don't know what movie I'm seeing for $100,000, but must be a good one, right? Yeah. So I again, it's pretty awesome, and I appreciate, and I'm probably going to, I'll speak for both of you. I'm sure you guys will appreciate too, is the willingness for the club to work with us. When we ask if anyone wants to come on the show, they're willing to come on. They're willing to send us players. They're willing to give us, goodies or giveaways to give away when we throw a random watch party, and all that stuff, which is really cool. And I look forward to more experiences with this team. And hopefully this is just 2020, and we can look past this year in the future and be like, that's just sort of an asterisk year because of what happened, and we get back to winning side of things and make the playoffs and all that fun stuff. But I still have to go with my F grade.
That's great for you. I just want to say Jeff's efforts do not go unnoticed, because he's handed me beer vouchers on multiple occasions. I've taken them up every single time, and it's freaking sweet. And that didn't happen in 2018, and that didn't happen in 2017.
Well, so I don't think you could have got him in 2017.
We'll get there. All right,
and I'm just spilling beer on you right now while I'm saying that too. So that's just bad.
Yeah. Maybe you should dial back over there, champ. You're cut off. Not even 40 minutes in this podcast, and you're cut off.
Oh, yeah.
What else are we supposed to talk about?
I think it's time to start getting into some player grades, but I don't know if we have our spreadsheet. Dylan, I think, was supposed to create a spreadsheet for us.
I sure do, and I just didn't share it with you. So
didn't share
while
with us.
I pull that up and share it for you two, and you can both pull it up, I have a quick question for you both.
Uh-oh.
This is really important. All right. Can a soccer player shave a hole in his super large afro and carry the ball inside of it? So in this situation, right, Goalkeeper
Is this like a real life scenario
up
that
the
has
ball.
happened?
Goalkeeper picks up the ball, walks up this guy with massive hair. It could be an afro. That's the way this question was phrased. Or I imagine like if you had really long hair, like if Aiden grew out his hair for another year, he could, like, Freddie could hold the ball here, and Aiden could pull his hair up and tie a little knot, like a shoelace around it really quick, and just take off down the pitch.
And run into the goal.
Yeah. Is that allowed? Please give me your thoughts. As well as any listeners. I would love their input as well.
I feel like this is like a trick question. Dylan's trying to make us look bad.
Dylan's trying to kill time is what Dylan's trying to do.
Yeah, because he didn't share the list that he was supposed to share with us.
I don't know. I'd have to like Google FIFA rules about.
So when he goes to tie it up, though, at some point his hand might touch the ball, right?
I mean,
fine. The goalkeeper takes his gloves off for the sole purpose and ties a knot, because realistically, no keeper could do that with gloves.
No, it doesn't seem like it would be legit. I mean, I don't see why.
Well, like, let's take the hair thing away, right? What if a player is really skillful with the ball and they're able to just get the ball up on their head and start balancing it on their head, running down the field? I mean, that would be fine, right?
This is a thing. Yes, Carlon was a player. He's 32 years old. He was Brazilian. He's not dead. He just no longer plays. And that was
I was going to say, wow, 32 years old and he's dead. What?
He would kind of, kick the ball up, catch it here, and just hold it in between his head and his shoulder and run down the pitch. And he would just get hacked to pieces constantly. I don't know if unsporting behavior would be the one to do it. Probably.
But pro referees would probably
the second someone came in for a challenge on that, it would absolutely, play would get blown dead. It's an insane, stupid question, but it is truly amazing and technically not against the rules.
Can you imagine like a defending player? The only way you can defend that is coming with like this like high scissor kick, like almost like you're like shooting the bow and arrow to try and get the apple, and instead you're trying to go get that soccer ball with your foot. Like that would be crazy. I need to teach my youth team how to do that. That'd be really cool.
Growing your son's hair out.
Yeah, I'm gonna just tell him.
I've seen your haircuts. They'll be better off with longer hair.
Just buy like every game, just buy a bottle of Aquanet and spray it so it's like solid, so it doesn't move at all, and then just have the goalie plop the ball right there in the head and have him run. That'd be pretty awesome. I'm gonna have to do that. I'm gonna have to work that. Thank you for sharing, Dylan.
Orange and Black Soccer Cast, everyone. This is where we get into some real hard-hitting questions like how Orange County does a business this year, and can a player hold the ball in his hair and run down the pitch? And what's your favorite vegetable?
Well, no. So then that sort of brings up the question, right? Can someone like, can I lift up my shirt? The goalie puts the ball in there, and then I cover it up and I run?
No.
Why not?
Because I said so.
It's touching only my stomach. I'm using the shirt to lock the ball in.
Yeah, see, OC Soccer Dad got it. It would definitely be dangerous play the second, because to make an attempt for that ball, you'd have to put another player in danger, and so they just wouldn't allow it. Same reason for that, and definitely not good.
I should try it though. Once my kids' team can start playing again, I should just try that play one time and see what the ref does. Like, see if he even like knows what to do in that situation. That'd be pretty funny. Maybe I'll get like someone to record it so we could put it like on like a America's Funniest Home Videos or some random thing like that.
Amazing. Well, anyway,
let's get to player grades, right?
Yeah.
That's the best part going on here. So every season we like to do some player grades. We go through and spend just a few minutes talking about how we thought a player did in the season, and give them a final grade for the season. I think I asked Dylan to sort of put a list together based on like the least amount of time maybe to who were the most impactful, or did you do it the other way?
I did the other way around, but you know what the nice thing about lists is you could read them the other way. They'll satisfy.
So where's this magical list you were supposed to share with us?
I shared it with you. I told her where it was.
It's your email.
Alan's right there.
I have to put my email?
Yep.
Oh my God. Well, hey, so if let's start with 5 players based on the amount of time that we have who featured.
Just quick answers though. Quick answers.
This is per minute, not appearance, which you'll find out very quickly. So we've got, starting off,
Raymond Dry, who came in against Vegas, played for a handful of minutes, but won Orange County in penalty. So, Alan, do you want to go ahead with your grade here?
I wrote who? I'm going to rate, I think, a lot of these guys kind of incomplete. I think there's a lot of young players like Raymond Dry or foreshadowing some other players that I don't think we got really a fair shake of who they are as a player or as where you hope they were going to be. There's a couple good plays. Raymond comes in, he makes a good play, he gets a goal off a penalty. Now he doesn't get the goal, but he leads to a goal. But really incomplete. Like, to be determined, I guess.
I can't deny that. I mean, you spent, I think it was like 3 or 4 minutes. You can't say that person earned a letter grade, even if that person does score like the USL championship winning goal. If you play 3 minutes out of like 1,500 or whatever a normal season is, you don't get that. Ray, what's
I love that Dylan's already laughing because he already saw my answer on this.
so
this
stupid.
list.
Please, what is your grade for Mr. Dry?
A+, best first name on the team. That simple and easy right there. Plus, I mean, like you guys said, he led to a goal by drawing a penalty in the box. So perfect. A+.
All right, well, our next one up is Alexis Cerritos. He featured a couple times. He made his debut in the 2-0 loss to San Diego in San Diego, which I'm sure Alan was a big fan of that match. Didn't particularly do too much. Never really had an opportunity to do too much. Usually just came on for the last 10 minutes. So, Alan, go ahead.
Ray, I can't even. Usually this is Dylan and I messing with you when you're reading, and now
I'm enjoying it because Dylan's
so
like
hard
the
to
host
ignore it.
now of the player grades, so I can actually sort of not focus so much on this.
I know I'm going to feel like a broken record, but I don't think he did anything terribly memorable. But then again, I'm not really going to grade him too harshly for his play or his lack of play. Clearly, he is a someone who's going to be part of the future of Orange County, hopefully. Again, I gave him another incomplete. I'd like to see where he ends up next season. I don't want to get in trouble like I did last year with Danny Crisostomo with being too harsh on him. I think expectations are, hey, you came up early, like you graduated from the previous grade early, and now you're trying out the next grade. I'm like, hey, this is just for exposure. It's just, there's no credit, no credit. Maybe I'll give him credit. There we go. Credit. He gets a P for passing. He gets some credit because he showed up.
No pass.
Pass
some
no
advanced
pass.
grade statistics here right now. What is this? This is some pandemic rating we have going on, everyone. Maybe in a 35 game season.
Hold harmless.
Chance.
Yeah.
There you go. What is it? Not the needs improvement, but the satisfactory. That's the little note next to the P. All right. Yeah. Did a couple of these guys. You can't give them a grade because they didn't play enough. This is the same situation. You give them an incomplete. Oh, Ray is very offended by this comment. So please, Ray, what did you grade Alexis Cerritos?
I gave him an A+. Growing up, I loved going to Los Cerritos Center in the city of Cerritos. So based off of his name, I'm going to give him an A+. Plus, he, made some good appearances with the club. So I was pleasantly surprised with late season signing that had a little bit of an impact on the season.
Well, I'm glad that 2 of us are taking this seriously. Our next one up is our youngest ever player, Mr. Francis Jacobs. Alan?
I'm going to give him, I put incomplete, but that's probably not fair for him. I'm actually going to give him an A. I'm going to give him an A. He played really well in the one game that he was put on the pitch for the whole game. He represented himself and Orange County well when he played with Rangers. He said he had better hair than Aaron Cervantes, I believe. So I'm going to give him an A for his chutzpah, I guess. I like Francis Jacobs a lot for where he is and how young he is. So I'm gonna change my grade from incomplete to an A. He aced the one assignment that I asked him to do. He turned it in, knocked it out of the park, and so I'm like, well, you're only here for a couple days, but you killed it. So go ahead, take your A.
I love it. Honestly, I was that kid in a couple classes. Never got the A though. I have to give him an incomplete because he, I think, in total played less than Ray. Calm down. It's fine. I think he did extremely well against Vegas. The role that he's being asked to play is not flashy. He was not flashy, but he just did his job. And I recognize that he was playing in that match. That match against Vegas, I did not recognize that Edson Alvarado was playing until he got subbed off. So he didn't have one of those kind of appearances. And I mean, when you're as young as he is and you're playing against a team like Vegas, that's kind of great. He didn't get his ankles hacked at. He didn't get swept up into something stupid. Just did his job for an hour and got to sit down in some gaming chairs for 30 minutes on the sideline. So incomplete, but I'm very much looking forward to where he's at over the next 2-3 years. Ray, what's your grade here? I don't see anything stupid here. Well, yeah, pretty stupid. Ray, go ahead.
I have to give him an A+ for his debut. It was the best professional debut I've ever seen. Running onto the pitch, excited, and then the whistle blows 30 seconds later. But it was a great professional debut. And although I'm joking around here a little bit, I'm really just sort of taking it easy on these ones because I don't want to just go with the incomplete or, not. We didn't see enough to really give a grade. But, he did look really good in that game against Las Vegas. He put in a good performance, and I have to give him a good grade because of that. I mean, when you have someone that's barely getting started in their professional career and is showing what Francis Jacobs has shown, I have to give a good grade, and I'm just going to go with A+ on it because really there's not enough to grade it on. So I'm going to go based off the little bit that I saw, and I'm going to say A+.
Hey, for a while he had 100%. Interception, duels 1, tackles 1, something like that.
Duels. He's still
Duels
100%. I think on the ground. He's 50% in the air or something. But
that doesn't make any sense in this context. All right. Well, 2 players left. Mr. Diego Lopez. Alan, go ahead and lead us off again.
I put P just so these 4 players would spell PAPI, Pappy. I don't know. Imagine if I graded that way in my class, like started spelling things. Again, 2 games played. I think it's hard to tell kind of where he is. Getting into a couple games means that you're probably good enough. There was some news that Diego Lopez signed with Philadelphia, but it's a different Diego Lopez. So I was confused for a few seconds. I was like, wait a minute, wasn't he? But he did end the thing, but he's still there. I think the passing, I think, it was fine.
It's fair. I can't particularly. I have to say, I can't really disagree, but he didn't play enough for me to warrant getting a real letter grade here. He started off really strong in the match he started, and then I think the wheels really came off for him in the 65th, 70th minute, and then it was just a couple runs he didn't pick on. I think by that at that point he was really tired, just didn't make those runs, and then made away for the last few minutes of the game. But it happens. He's young, and as he gets a little bit more experience, I'm sure he'll have a better consistent performance through his matches, and we'll probably see him a lot more. So I'm looking forward to that. God, Ray, just what's your grade for Diego Lopez?
I can't do the incomplete or the passing no pass or stuff. I have to give a letter grade, and I'm going to give Diego an A minus just because really I didn't expect anything out of Diego Lopez this season, and the fact that he made a couple of appearances, started a match, and didn't do anything flashy, but also didn't do anything that upsets me or anything like that. And limited play, I'm going A minus.
Okay, all right. Well, Mr. Lettergrade continues on his life. Back to reality and dumb comments. Our fifth player, Thomas Enevoldsen, 1 game played for Orange County, El Paso on March 6th. 1 child fathered. He did the work. That was a preseason gig. Really wasn't too involved in that process.
Championships are won in preseason, right? Championships are won in preseason. The work you do in preseason leads to the success.
I'll have to ask his partner, I think, because obviously she was the one doing the heavy lifting there. Actually, probably not. If that child is anything like the two of them, that child probably came out like extremely ripped and weighs, I don't know, 2 pounds. Ready to FSU? Yeah. All right. Well, Alan, please.
Yes.
By all means.
I gave him a B for baby. I thought he played fine in the first match. I thought he had a couple of really good looks and some good opportunities, and you can tell that if given a couple games, things are going to start clicking, and there's going to be some pretty fun magic. But it just didn't quite happen against El Paso, which El Paso is a tough team to score against. But it wasn't like an A plus, and so I think in the one game we had from him versus expectation versus he had a baby, so B for baby.
All right. Well, I'm still going to give him an incomplete despite the 1 match played. No disrespect to him. If I factor in the stuff he did in Denmark, then he's getting a higher grade. He's passing for sure. He's going to get an A because he scored a brace in his first match in 5 months, I think. But, this was a shortened season, and it was obviously a massive disappointment. We would have been a much better team with him in the side. That being said, I don't blame him for not coming back here with his partner and his young child. Denmark seems to have things a lot more under control than we do. And, why not have your young child around your extended family for that very reason, so they can kind of help out as you get situated in the newest challenge of his life. But from that 1 match, it was pretty clear, despite being 2 years older than we last saw him, he's still putting the work in, and he is still just as fit as before. Ray, what is your... I can see what your grade is, and I'm curious if this note is why he's received this grade. So please.
So I wanted to agree with Alan, a B. I look at it as he didn't look amazing against El Paso, but he looked good and probably would have looked good or at least better than that for most of the season. But he only played the 1 game, and then he got sent to a 2nd division Denmark team, which is not licensed for FIFA 21, which means I cannot use Thomas Enevoldsen in FIFA 21 because of that. If he would have gone to a 1st division Denmark team, maybe I would have been able to give him a higher grade. But because of that, I had to give him a B minus.
Beautiful. Well, that was 5 players. It can only get better from here because we can only have something to actually grade from here on out. The next one up is Harry Forrester, through some guys that actually played quite a few matches this year. So next week we'll have much, much better things. Ray has just disappeared and turned into a couple boxes, and now it's Ray in front of a green screen. Iron your green screen, Ray. This is amateur hour.
You never have to see my green screen because usually there's an image back here, but apparently Google Chrome is having some issues displaying my green screen. Luckily, it happened, at the very end of this episode, so pretty awesome.
Well, back to your hosting duties, boss man. Oh, by the way, we'll get to this in a second. Back to your hosting duties.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and end it right here, right now, then, so we don't have to get to whatever it is you wanted to share, Dylan. No, really quick, let's get to our random thoughts for this episode. I'm going to go ahead and start with Alan.
I just want to send some love to the Total Soccer Show family. The reason we opened the show the way they did is one of the hosts for the show had been battling some cancer and passed away just before our show ended, and a bunch of the BGN family is paying homage to him and his welcome to the Total Soccer Show. So my random thought is find a couple episodes, scroll through, find some topics that you like, and give Total Soccer Show a listen. I know they've been super instrumental in inspiring tons of soccer podcasts. And his intro is engaging and happy and joyful. And I think right now we need a little bit of that happy and joyfulness. So go check it out. Go give him some love, and thoughts to Daryl and the Total Soccer Show family and his family as well.
How can you follow that up, Dylan? Go for it.
Oh, well, I was going to tell people, get checked for colorectal cancers. They're easy to do. The colonoscopy, I can tell you from personal experience, it's not that bad. Colonoscopy prep is by far the worst part. But given what the alternative is, it's really not that big of a deal to take 2-3 days of your time and get it sorted out. There's a 90% survival rate, 5-year survival rate, if it's just localized, which is like the lowest stage of it. So take care of yourself, and it's not that hard. You can go to cancer.org and find out all the info you could possibly need for any cancers that you are at risk for. But yeah, take care of yourself. Eat good food. Go to the doctor.
Doctors are there for a reason.
Yeah.
Man, to go from what you guys are discussing to my random topic here. So I want you guys to tell me, am I now this like irritated old person because of what happened to me recently and the way I reacted? So a couple days ago, not once, but twice, some young people decided to mess with my car right outside of my house. One of them was a group of young kids, like probably the youngest one was like a 4-year-old, and there was probably like a 6-year-old and probably an 8 or 9-year-old. And the oldest one of the bunch was telling the youngest one of the bunch to go test or check out or see if car doors were unlocked. So I watched as they went to a bunch of cars in front of my complex. I was standing up on the patio on our second floor watching as he did this. And he tried it on my wife's car, my car, and a few other cars. And as they're walking back, they see me watching, and I call them out on it. And the oldest kid tells me, "No, we weren't doing that. No, we weren't doing that." And then when I pointed down to my front door and my doorbell, which has a camera on it, he's like, "Oh, I promise we won't do it again." So I want to know, and then later on that night, some teenagers decided to mess with my windshield wipers by lifting them up and just sort of standing them up on the car, which I know, okay, great. No damage to my car. Awesome. I have no problem with pranks, but it irritated me just because of what had happened with the younger kids earlier in the day. Am I now just a grumpy old person?
You are a grumpy old person, but that's because your birthday was yesterday. I think apparently, I don't know, Alan texted it, and then I looked at your Twitter and it said it was your birthday. And so, yes.
So am I now officially a grumpy old man based off of the way I reacted in that experience?
No, based on your birthday being yesterday, yes.
Or did I react normally for that type of experience? Like, is that what anyone, like, I didn't yell at the kids. I didn't like be mean. I just called them out on it. And then their dad came out and sort of asked what happened. And I just told him, yeah, this older kid was trying to tell the little kid to open the doors. But I just want to make sure I'm not being like overly grumpy old man in that. Is that something a normal person does, or should I have just ignored it and just known that it was just kids being kids? I'll ask you, Dylan, because you're the closest thing to a kid here.
Yeah, that's true. I think you are a grumpy old man because your birthday was yesterday, and I think that you, rather than bringing this up on a soccer podcast, should probably just post on Facebook and complain in like a group mom.
So get the video footage from my
next door.
Post it on Twitter and Reddit.
Next door,
at
Twitter.
Your local police department, because this seems like a valid use of their time. God knows where you live in Orange County. They have nothing better to be doing.
I just love that the kid totally changed his story after I told him I have a camera on my doorbell.
Hey, it's not that stupid, apparently. He knows how to open a car door. Anyway, if you wanted to talk about soccer things, my second random thought is that the El Dorado High School women's soccer team got all of their stuff stolen earlier this week out of one of those like storage bin container things. So that is all of the work. I believe over a 3-year period, this program has been built. Yeah, not great that a ton of stuff got stolen from a school.
Not cool.
Not great.
Cool.
That's happening in our community. Really, kudos to Superfan Andy for kind of letting people know this had happened and getting people in touch. Kudos to some of the Phoenix fans. They call her mom, and I don't remember McPherson. Mom McPhee. I think her last name's actually McPherson. She was sharing it. A lot of people sharing it. DJ up in Reno, who has given us Malort. I don't know if Ray remembers that in his advanced age. But all these people really pulling through, so you can also help out. They lost a lot of stuff, and soccer stuff is not cheap. Soccer balls are not cheap, as I'm sure most people that follow this podcast know. So if you can help, you can. We'll put it in the show notes, but you can also visit our Twitter. We've posted it there where you can find help. You can Venmo, and I believe it's at EDHS Soccer. I don't know. Just, go on our Twitter, and you can find out where. So if you can donate. If you can't, just share it, and hopefully everything they can get or everything they had can be replaced, because we like to support local here. We also like to support women in sports, and so making sure that they have a platform from which to grow and play into women while still in high school is key. You're muted, Ray. Anyway, my third random thought is you should all just be good people.
Just in case you don't want to go to our social media, you can just go to Venmo and send it out at EDHS Girls Soccer to help support them out. So feel free to do that. Yes. So definitely, sucks that happened, and anyone that can help or is willing to help, be awesome. I'm sure if any of you were in that same situation, you'd love the help too. So go, Dylan. Since you want to do a third random thought,
said it. I said,
even though we're in overtime, go for it.
I said it. This is like the ref that's like, all right, I'm going to come have a conversation with you because you're time wasting. Well, now you're adding on to the time being wasted. So this isn't actually doing anything. Just,
Alan, you're the Judge Judy of this episode. Who's right, who's wrong?
Get to Alan, where he's going to read some ad reads. Give me a yellow card for time wasting, right? Don't just come here and lecture me about it.
He won't shut up.
And just like the Western Conference games, nobody wins, because when you go to penalty kicks, no one actually wins. You just advance on PKs. And just like the podcast tonight, nobody wins. Nobody wins. We just all advance on penalty kicks.
Well, now Jeff's not going to want to join us ever again because no one wins on this podcast.
No one wins, which is fine. I mean, if you're looking for a winner, you're definitely not going to find one here.
That's very true.
I mean,
old man.
Hey, no. Alan and I think win. Dylan never wins.
I'm alive.
Or is Dylan like the kid that you just like let win occasionally because he's like the kid and you don't want to feel bad about him never winning? Is that a thing?
For pride, I'm 0-2.
He's that kid on the show You're the Worst that just like forces his way into someone's life and just says
That's what you did to me. You were the one that came up to me and started talking to me at a soccer game, and now here we are 2.5 years later. Look at what you've done.
And I can't get rid of you.
I cannot find this ad read. Oh, here it is.
Tired of the same old cookie cutter.
Dylan and
Thanks
I
to our
are
sponsor,
totally like
Roughneck
feeling
Scarves,
bad for you,
official
Alan.
scarf supplier. Thanks to our sponsor, Roughneck Scarves, official scarf supplier of the MLS, USL, and US Soccer. Get your custom scarf for your group or team at roughneckscarf.com. Tired of the same old uniforms and cookie cutter templates from Nike and Adidas? Looking for a unique, completely custom kit for your youth club, Sunday League, squad, adult, or even pro team? Icarus FC can help you create the kit of your dreams at an affordable price. Let them help you design your new custom kit at IcarusFC.com. Micro Machines.
A lot of people won't know what the hell you just said at the end there, Alan.
I do, and
I
that's
wanna
all
thank-
that matters.
I want to thank Jeff Garner again for joining us, and hopefully we'll get him on here again, even after the way we ended this last half hour of the show. And I don't know how much Alan or Dylan and I have to bicker back and forth to give Alan time to find the ad reads, but it seemed to work out there. For Dylan, for Alan, this is Ray, Orange and Black Soccer Cast, and we are out.